Welcome. It's your boy Mike, and I'm here to talk NBA. Hello, NBA fans. Make sure you like, subscribe, and let's keep it going. Yesterday, I made a video about the Western Conference, and I said who I thought was going to be a disappointment and who I thought was going to surprise some teams. Now, in saying all that, I picked, if you didn't hear it, make sure you watch. I'm not even going to say who I said. But the Eastern Conference is for today, and the Eastern Conference, much harder. Much harder to predict. You know why? Because there's a lot of good teams. Like, it's easy to say certain teams are going to surprise. It's easy going to say that some people will disappoint. So it's really about looking at each team and wondering who's going to be that team. I don't know. Everyone, I feel, is actually rated correctly. Like, everyone's rated correctly. Except one Eastern Conference team. To me, is not rated correctly at all. So for the Eastern Conference, there's no team that I feel is going to disappoint. There's no team that I feel is going to overcome all the obstacles and win a bunch of games. I truly think a lot of teams are pretty even. There's a team like Atlanta Hawks that I think some people have them as a, under 6. Some people have them as a top 6. But some people have the Chicago Bulls as that. Some people have the Raptors as that. Some people have the Cleveland Cavaliers. I would say the 3 teams that nobody has in the Eastern Conference as a bottom 3 team is the Philadelphia 76ers. We got the Milwaukee Bucks and the Boston Celtics. Those 3 teams, I think, is pretty much locks for everybody. Everyone consensusly believes those 3 are the best teams, which I agree. Those are the 3 best teams. And then the bottom 3 teams are Charlotte, Indiana, some would say Washington. Those are the bottom teams. Orlando. Those are the teams that you're not going to talk about. Then there's a team like Detroit where I think it's in their own tier because they're not as bad as the other teams I just mentioned. But, they could fight for a play-in team. They could really fight. So can Washington, some would say. Because they actually have a good squad. Now, the team I'm going to talk about is a team that, has been spoken about a bunch of times. Let's act like, we all have been seeing it. They all get talked about so much. And that is the Brooklyn Nets. Now, in saying about the Brooklyn Nets, I must say, and I hope you guys can agree, they're a team that none of us can predict. None of us can say this team is going to make it to the finals. None of us can say this team will be in the play-in. None of us think it's the last team in the Eastern Conference. The thing varies. Some people are still saying they're going to be great. So I'm here to argue and say, until we can see it get done, no. I think it's easier to predict that the Brooklyn Nets are going to be fighting for the play-in than say they'll be a top 6 team. And that's all of them healthy. And I understand, if you have a Ben Simmons, a great defensive player, some would say one of the best defensive, not top 5, top 3, top 2 best defenders, best wing defenders in the league. Then you have Kyrie Irving, probably the most skilled point guard that we've had ever. Skilled, with the handles, the ability to drive to the basket, finish at the basket, all those things. Kyrie has the bag. Not a big Kyrie fan, but you have to admit when someone has a bag. Then you have Kevin Durant. At the end of the day, we're all watching Victor Wembanyama saying, oh my God, he's 7'4", he can do this, he can do that, he can do this. And that's Kevin Durant right there. Kevin Durant's just not the height. And Kevin Durant didn't show the defensive ability that Victor's showing right now. And Kevin has shown defensive abilities, I think, after the fact. I feel like he's become a better defender as he's aged. When some people normally regress, I feel like he's progressed within defensive categories. This team is very talented. It is. The Brooklyn Nets are talented. Like I said, they have the big 3. They still have a Joe Harris. They just got Royce O'Neal. They still got Claxton, who I think could be starting for them. That's already good right there. And then you have some, if you look at the percentage, he's actually one of the better 3-point shooters in the league in Curry. And that's a pretty good squad so far. That's pretty good. Just naming those guys is pretty good. Having Joe Harris and Curry right there in the wings for Ben Simmons. Then you have, oh my God, Ben's playing the 5. Then you can have Durant and then Kyrie. And the 3-point shooting ability of this team, pretty high. Some of the questions that we have for this team is the coaching. How great can Steve Nash be? How good is Steve Nash? Can he lead this team to going to the finals. But their biggest question are on two guys, Kyrie Irving and Ben Simmons. What will those two guys do? Is Kyrie going to play most of the games? Is he going to show up? Can he show up? I don't know what a lot of people's restrictions are. I think everywhere he can play. Being from Toronto, I'm pretty sure now he can play. If not, that's going to be a challenge within itself. But I'm thinking he could play. I'm thinking Kyrie Irving can still play in Toronto. And Ben Simmons, how's his back going to be? He said a lot of it was mental health when he was on JJ Redick's podcast. Now, is his mental health better? You hope that his mental health is better. You actually root for him to have a better mental health so he can come play basketball because he's so talented at what he does. He doesn't need to be the scorer, doesn't need to be the shooter. He has all that everywhere. He really does. We can have a great defensive team by bringing in a Royce O'Neal, having a Claxton. This team is still very talented. Then you had the lead guy. You have Kevin Durant, who I'm going to say no matter what, Kevin Durant is an amazing player. And I'm just going to argue it. He's never led a team by himself. And like people can argue, no one has led a team by themselves. Yes, I see what you're trying to say. But you know what I mean. Kevin Durant has never led. And only the OKC Thunder back in the day with Harden and Westbrook did he ever lead a team to the finals. But Durant's never led a team to the finals. Like, never led them. He had Steph, he had Clay, he had Draymond, he had Andre Iguodala, he had David West. Like, that team was good. That team was actually really good. And then saying all that, I mean, like Livingston came off, like all these, their bench was really good. Brooklyn, still being who they are, you could believe in them. I think, Blake Griffin, not on the team anymore, but I think he could have helped them. I honestly do think he could have helped this team coming off the bench. That's fine. They had Javon Carter, but they lost him. I think that was like a year back. This team, in looking at them, they have the pieces. And once again, they have the main piece in Kevin Durant. And the second fiddle being Kyrie Irving, still pretty good. But I'm going to predict. I think it's better to predict because of you don't know what's going to happen with Kyrie. Because you don't know what's going to happen with Ben Simmons. You don't know how well the chemistry is on this team because of that whole situation with Kevin Durant during the offseason. You don't know any of those things. You don't know any of those factors. And quite frankly, like we've said before in the beginning, the Eastern Conference got a lot better. Let's play this game. Play this game with me. Are they better than the Boston Celtics? No. They're better than Philly? No. Are they better than Milwaukee Bucks? No. Okay, that's the first two teams, okay? Now that other list of teams, are they better than Toronto Raptors? I'm going to argue and say, to me, Kevin Durant is the outlier. So they're closer to being better than Toronto. I see why everyone can say that. Atlanta, same thing. But no one's going to say, you know what? I strongly think that Brooklyn is better than Toronto and better than Atlanta. We're not going to say those two. Cleveland Cavaliers, once again, they have Kevin Durant. So talent-wise and name recognition, Durant should be spoken about higher than anyone in the Cavs. But I would say the Cavs are better than them too. I think the Cavs are better than Brooklyn. So I think the Cavs would be that fourth team, if anything. Chicago, Brooklyn's better than Chicago. But Chicago may win more regular season games. Why? Because I can trust that DeRozan's going to play a lot of games. Zach has had some injury history in the past, but I can almost trust Zach to play maybe 60 games. And I can trust that team to win. The Lonzo Ball impact is what's scaring everyone from shying away from Chicago. But when Lonzo Ball was playing, that was a top 10 defense in the league. Let's talk about that. No one is. Like, everyone's trying to brush them aside, but you can't brush that team aside. You really can't. Now, in saying all that, this team, I think, is going to fight for a play-in. They may be sixth. Who knows? We can all predict whatever we want to predict. But I'm just saying that Brooklyn has a better chance of being a bottom team in the East, a play-in team, I should say, in the East than being top six, right? I think regular season-wise, if Ben Simmons and Kyrie Irving and Kevin Durant are not playing all the games, they're not meshing well, Steve Nash is not bringing this team together the way we believe he should. If there's people talking about the fact that Steve Nash should get fired for not leading this team, people are going to talk more. People are going to question. And, a team I didn't mention, the Miami Heat. Is Brooklyn better than Miami Heat? Once again, Kevin Durant's Kevin Durant. But Miami is a team. They fight harder than most teams. They're one of the most annoying teams in the league. So I would say no. So if I had to, it's not a prediction at all, not yet. But you got Boston, Philly, Milwaukee, Miami, Cleveland. Then you get that 6th spot. So I just named 5. They get 6th spot with Atlanta, Toronto, Brooklyn, all probably fighting for that 6th, right? That's just good teams. There's a lot of good teams. One of those teams is not going to be past the 2nd round. And I don't know. I just think with Brooklyn, you just don't know. And I think that's what makes me believe that they're just not going to be top 6. Because you just don't know. I think their chemistry could get better. And I think their chemistry is going to be good because I think Ben Simmons is very eager to play. I think Kyrie is very eager to play. Kevin Durant seems eager to play. But at the end of the day, the man did ask to be traded. I don't care what anyone said. The man asked to be traded. And that goes a long way. I don't know. I just think you have a higher chance of one than the other. So any team I think could be the biggest game changer in the East is the Brooklyn Nets. Because you don't know what you're going to get on a day-to-day basis. You don't know what news you're going to hear. You don't know what's going to be said. You don't know if Kyrie's playing. You never know. But make sure you like, make sure you subscribe, make sure you comment below. Tell me what you think. I'll talk to you again.